like big high recordings of the rest of us, and then there's like this little quiet section with a couple blips for Peter.
Well, I'll try.
You have to maintain through the whole thing. I don't know. Do we have any cold open shit? It's
depressing.
February 27th, and I don't give a shit about Purdue basketball. We're gonna lose in Sweet 16. We're not gonna win the Big Ten tournament. Michigan State won the Big Ten. Everything is right. And it's honestly the way every single season ends. We're in the first. We get a double bye in the tournament. We're in the first four. Michigan State's the best team, and we're probably gonna get bounced in the Sweet 16. So,
woo, ain't that great?
It's just like it's just like every single other season. This is the highest.
Never quite good enough. We're above average team, but we're not.
We're not one of the best. State. Like what we were talking about, 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Being a number one seed. That's gone. Going to the Final Four. I mean, does anybody think that that's going to happen?
Not if we play Kansas.
Because
we're going to have to go through a 1 seed. If we can't go through a 1 seed.
Dude, we can't go through a 3 seed.
I can't wait till we don't make it through, and everybody blames Vince's ankle being bad, and we're tired from the summer stuff.
Or the Junior Olympics.
It's like, no, we're not. We just play better teams.
Yeah, that's a good cold open. What excuse is everybody going to use when we lose in the Sweet 16 this year?
The main ones are going to be the refs. That's
a fucking given.
Not to complain about the refs, but the refs blew the game.
The other one's going to be Vince's ankle, even though, I mean, we're going to be done in the Big Ten tournament like the 6th. He's going to have
other teams cheating.
He's going to cheat. There we go. The other team's cheating.
Dude, if we get a team that got named in that thing, oh, yeah.
That thing, too, really overblown.
It's
I was actually going to talk about that for my topic. So let's save that.
Save it then.
Peter, what excuse are you going to use when we lose in the Sweet 16?
What excuse am I going to use?
Yeah, what Purdue Twitter excuse are you going to use in the Sweet 16?
Oh, it has to be a Purdue Twitter excuse.
Yeah. I have a good one. Never mind. I have a good one.
All right, what's yours, Ray?
Mine's Coach Painter can't get over the hump.
Ah, yes.
He can't
That's a good one.
There you
go.
But then you also have to have somebody that says, what, you're complaining about getting to the tournament? Like, what, he gets us to the tournament every year. Like, that's the goal here. The
2
goal
Sweet
is just to
16s in a
be
row.
Top 64 in the country. Yeah, so 2 Sweet 16s in a row. Oh, we're going to get there next year. We're going to be so bad next year.
It's going to be terrible.
I mean, we might make the tournament, maybe, because it's honestly pretty forgiving. But
who knows?
It's not going to be we're not going to have a good year. Ryan Klein is going to be a starter. So
that's not a good.
A great Purdue Twitter excuse is nobody could have beaten that team.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nobody in the country.
And then they lose the next game.
That team was hot.
Yeah, that team was unbeatable, and then they get fucking blown out the next night by
nobody was beating them that night.
Yeah, nobody was going to beat them that night. No. Yeah, we're the only team that didn't beat them that night. That's the only thing we know for sure.
The only reason they were unbeatable is because they were playing against Purdue.
Yeah, right. Well, the only reason nobody could have beat them was because the team that they got to play.
It's because they run a dirty program.
Well, that's definitely going to be up there with everybody.
Which makes me hope. Makes me just hope with all my heart that Purdue is caught up in this. It's in some way or another.
Yeah, well, I'm also going to talk about that. But so a little preview for everybody to stick around later on in the show. Another good one, maybe if we're out in the West, like we weren't close enough to home, like the other team got to play much closer to home or something like that.
Time zones, man.
Yeah. We didn't have to travel. We traveled too much. You can use that one. The balls, maybe the balls are going to be bad. Who knows? Who knows? It's
non-regulation.
This is the only thing that I really care about anymore is what we're all going to say when we lose. That's the only fun part of the season left at this point. There's no hope. There's no expectations. And this is the Rebuilding Your Podcast. All right, Rebuilding Your Podcast, Season 3, episode, I don't even know anymore. What is this,
27.
27? That doesn't sound right.
That doesn't sound right. I think it's like 25.
If that.
It's somewhere in those low to mid 20s. But we are going to talk a little bit about the end of the Boilers season, the Big Ten tournament, which will be starting when this is released, if Chris does his job correctly. If he looks at his email, which is a thing that I guess you have to tell adults that they have to do.
Yeah, I've got a different email.
Look at their email. Well, tell me that email, and I'll send it to the one you look at.
Well, that's my work one, so you can't send it to that.
All right, you got a lot of stipulations here, buddy.
Yeah, you got to tell Chris to look at his email, or else he doesn't look at it.
Fuck, Chris is right. This is episode 27.
Huh.
We've done 27 of these?
Awesome.
It also says it in the bottom right of your screen right there.
I was just getting wound up there. I was just getting the engine cranked, and a classic Ryan interjection.
A sobering reminder.
Throw it all off. But we're going to talk about the end of the season. We're going to talk about the Big Ten tournament, which is going to be starting today when you hear this. And we're not going to talk anything about the rest of the postseason because we're obviously going to have a show probably after Selection Sunday is really the only time it makes sense. We're going to have one after the Big Ten tournament, and then we're going to have one after Selection Sunday. And then we're on to our one other show when we win one game as the 2 seed and then lose to the 10 seed in the second round. So let's just start it off. Purdue basketball finished up on Sunday, senior afternoon, senior evening. Vince, PJ, Dakota, and Isaac got sent off with a W over a very bad Minnesota team to finish the season out. We don't have to talk too much about that game. Also, spoiler, I haven't watched any Purdue basketball games since the 10th of February. So that's where I'm coming from. But because none of them mattered. I implore somebody to argue with me that any of the games after the Michigan State game mattered. But talk about how the season ended, if you think they're going into the Big Ten tournament on the right foot, and then we'll move on to the Big Ten tournament. So we'll start, as always, with Peter.
I mean, it hasn't been pretty, but hey, they've won since Wisconsin, which we're just not going to talk about. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're in as good a position as you could have hoped after that week and a half where they lost 3 straight. And, I mean, the last 3 games looked pretty good, beat a tough Penn State team, and then, beat Illinois on the road and whooped on Minnesota. So I don't know. I mean, Carson's playing great. Dakota had a good day, and, Isaac's been consistent. So I guess just hopefully they can keep it moving. They looked as good as we could have hoped for, I think, over these last 3 games, considering what just happened. So, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm super optimistic that definitely we're going to win this, but I mean, I think the double bye, there's a pretty good chance we get into the finals game. I think we, can take a rematch with Ohio State in a empty Madison Square Garden and get to the finals at the very least. I don't know what's going to happen then, but yeah, I mean, I think it's, like I said, it's as good as you could have hoped for, considering the circumstances that happened 2 weeks ago.
Very true. Chris?
It was the best way to end the season, I think. I mean, it was a great game by the seniors. Even PJ was out of his slump. He was, 1 for 2 from 3 instead of 0 for 5 from 3. So he had a good game. Carson is playing out of his mind. So that's the only bright side for next year. And I guess No Gel, first No Gel watch. He's been playing pretty well, much better towards the end of the season. So that's something to look forward to. Not much else to look forward to next season, but we'll get there. We'll get there at some point. The rest of the games, I mean, these are all, other than Penn State, these are all bad teams. And then there's really, it's great to win those games, but you needed to win the other ones to show that you can do something with the season. And they just didn't do it. They lost 3 straight. I don't know if that's a funk, but you can't do that and be a national championship team like we were talking about not 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah, kind of like Peter said, after those 3 losses, this is the best way to end you can kind of hope for, minus the Vince Edwards injury. But yeah, you beat Penn State without Vince. You absolutely whoop on Minnesota, which is something we haven't done in a while. So we come in the Big Ten tournament, a little, I don't say hot, but because it's only one game, we come in on with a little momentum. You have Carson Edwards playing his best basketball of the year, which is what you always want to happen. Everybody remembers those UConn teams with Shai Napier and Kemba Walker, who got hot at the end of the year and carried their teams to national championships. So I'm not suggesting that by any stretch of the imagination. But you want something like that going on into the year, and Carson clearly has, that it factor right now. So, yeah, I'm excited for the Big Ten tournament. I think we have a 50-50 shot to make the finals. We have IU at probably IU, MSG, which should be easy enough. I think Ohio State's coming a 50-50 game because I know Peter said we feel able to beat him in empty MSG, but we couldn't beat him in a packed Mackey. So what makes me think we could beat him in MSG? I have no idea. And then, yeah, Michigan State, that'll also be a good game if that, happens, but a lot needs to happen. But overall, I think we ended the season on a decently high note. I just hope Vince's ankle can get rested for the tournament, which, he has like 3 weeks to get ready for that, so I don't think that'll be an issue.
Yeah, the week off in between the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament, we originally thought might be a little too long for this team to be waiting around because everybody thought that they were just going to go into the end of the season hot. But I think it'll be good to get Vince some rest. Carson has been playing like a man possessed. The only thing that really concerns me about that is that Illinois game when he dropped 40, they almost still lost that game. Like, he was the only offense in that game. So, you needed that. But it concerns me going into the tournament that if the going gets tough, it's just going to be, well, we're either going to live by Carson or die by Carson. And that's not really this team's DNA, if that makes sense. That's not really what won them, 20-something games in a row. So I wouldn't like to see that the NCAA tournament or even the Big Ten tournament just turns into, well, if Carson's off, then, we're just not going to win because this team was so good when, Carson could have an off game, Vince could have an off game, Dakota could have an off game. Any one of them could have an off game and somebody else would pick them up with a big performance, a performance of two scorers or something like that. Everybody's still going to play defense, but having one guy do the whole offense is cool for a night, but I just hope that doesn't turn into the story of the postseason. It would be cool if Carson single-handedly carried us to, Final Four or something like that. That would be amazing. Like Ryan said, Shabazz Napier or Kemba Walker, but if it's just the Carson show and then, like we've been saying, we lose in the Sweet 16 to somebody because Carson dropped, 25, 30 points, but, nobody else was in double figures, then that speaks on the fact I think that the team just would have, said, well, if Carson's just going to carry us, and that's too much to put on, the sophomores' shoulders. The Big Ten tournament, let's just move into that. I'll start it off. We're going to play probably Indiana, like Ryan said, on Friday night. It could be Minnesota. It could be Rutgers as well, but both those teams are pretty bad. So I don't see either one of them upsetting Indiana in the round of 12, the round of
12, 14.
I don't know what they call it, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
First round.
The second round. Well, it's the second round because the first round is those really bad games. So it'd be the second round. So we're probably going to play Indiana. I think we could probably win that one. I think that we're obviously a much better team than Indiana. A rivalry game, obviously, always got to throw the record books out the window. But it's not at Assembly Hall. There's not going to be a big crowd there. It's the last game. No, second to last game of the night.
It's last.
It's the last.
It's like 9 p.m.
It's Friday night at 9 p.m.
I thought it was at 6:30, and Nebraska plays after us.
First game's at 6:30. We're 30 minutes after.
Oh, so it's the last game of the night. So it probably won't be a big crowd at all for that one. But, yeah, I think we can win that one. Ohio State, we'll see. But, well, I guess we already gave our thoughts on the big – who do you guys think is going to win the Big Ten? There, we'll go there. We'll start with Peter.
I think Michigan State's going to win the tournament. I just don't see a way that they don't. They're just better than everyone else in the conference. So, and they've won what, like 12 straight, something like that, and they just have the guys that can just take over a game and win. And they've got the rebounding and defense and everything. They're just better than the rest of the conference. That's just all there is to it.
I do think Michigan State's going to win. I think that Nebraska is actually getting slept on a lot. I didn't even know they were the 4 seed, but I think they're a pretty good team. I think they're going to the tournament, right? Shouldn't
Right
they?
now,
They had a
Nebraska
really bad
is
non-con.
out.
Oh, they're out. Oh, yeah, they
They
had
are-
a really bad non-conference. That's right.
They're about to be one of the first teams to go like 13-5 in a Power 5 conference and just flat out not make it because they have no good wins. Like no.
Well, that's
nothing.
the other interesting thing about the Big Ten tournament is there's a couple teams, certainly Nebraska and I think Penn State, that are probably fighting for positioning, and that always makes it a little bit more interesting when those teams have to win, a couple games, maybe even move into the semis to even have a shot at it. But I don't think anybody on our little mini bracket of Rutgers, Minnesota, and Indiana is playing for anything respectable, so we don't really have to worry about anything there. But if we do run into one of those can we run into Penn State or Nebraska in the semis?
Nope. Had to be the finals.
Okay,
Yeah.
so who are the
Penn
teams
State
we can
we
play
could
in the
run into
semifinals?
Penn State, we could.
Who are the teams we can play in the semis, Ralph?
Apparently, Chris has said Penn State, which I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
We can
Northwestern,
play.
Penn State. So we can play if
okay.
they beat Ohio State. We can play Penn State.
Okay, and Penn State has beaten Ohio State, so who knows? Maybe we
Twice.
will play Penn State in the semis. Yeah, twice. But those teams are obviously fighting for tournament berths, so that's always makes it a little bit more interesting. So we'll see, but I do think Michigan State is class above everybody else in the conference. We'll go to Ryan.
Yeah, I think the revenge tour continues. I think we play whoever our first round game is. I think we just win. I don't really care if it's IU, Rutgers, or Minnesota. And then I think we play Ohio State. I think the revenge match. I think we take that game. I think we come into the finals playing Michigan State, and I think we take that game. So that's what I'm hoping for. The only way I see us losing is if Michigan upsets Michigan State, and I don't like our chances 3 times in a row against Michigan. Michigan is playing, I think they won like 7 or 8 of their last 8 or 9. Like they're playing typical Michigan basketball, get scorching hot at the end, come to the Big Ten tournament, win it, and then get some seed that's probably too low and make another Elite 8. That's what Michigan does, and looks like they're doing it again.
So Ryan's got the Boilers to win it. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I definitely feel that we can beat Michigan State. I don't think that they're in a class above Purdue. I think it's Ohio State is very good, and then Purdue and Michigan State are at that top level. But Izzo gets his boys up to play in the tournament. This is when they start actually playing to win. It's all great to win in the regular season, but the postseason is what matters. And they've made their way into the tournament, so they always win. I think they're going to continue to win, but I think Purdue will make it a close game in the finals. I think that we can definitely beat Ohio State in that arena. The seniors are just more experienced in that sort of setting than Ohio State is.
That's true. So we will see. We'll obviously see it's always fun to watch. You get a couple games that mean something. That's always good. So the Big Ten tournament will start tonight for Purdue. After you're listening to this, if you're listening to it on Saturday morning, well, then hopefully our picks are all correct. So we will move on now to, do we have anything else? Basketball news? No. That's it. This is the only thing left. All we have spring practice. No, we're not talking about the damn spring practice.
Blau's practicing, surprisingly, but yeah, I don't give a shit.
David Blau, just give the keys to Plummer. It just
I think Sippy's taking first team snaps.
Screw that.
What?
Well, it's because Blau is hurt, and
so is
Sindelar.
Yeah, I guess.
Is Plummer on campus yet? I'm guessing not.
Yeah, no, he was at spring practice. I saw a picture of him in a helmet.
Okay, well, yeah, get Sippy out of there and give Plummer the first team reps.
Give Plummer the keys, man. It's cool to have backups that know what they're doing, but he's got to just be the 4-year guy, in my opinion. I don't think Sindelar or Blau is going to give us anything more than he can give us. So that's my take on the Purdue quarterback situation, which is a preview of what we're going to talk about all August, probably, is just the quarterback battle. And probably in September, I guarantee that what's-his-face is going to what the hell's the code? Jeff Brom is going to Jeff Brom, that he's going to do some jacked up quarterback rotation thing.
Oh, we already have he's got a play set for that Sparks kid. the wide receiver.
Awesome.
I think Sparks
let's just play each one of them for a quarter. Each kid gets a quarter, and then we'll figure out by Thanksgiving who's good. When now I'm 2 down on Purdue. When we're at 6-5 going into the IU game, we'll figure out who's the good quarterback there. So that we have that to look forward to, and we're going to talk about it all August. But now let's move on to the segments. All right, as always, we are going to start with our final edition of Ryan's Basketball Time featuring basketball before we move on to Ryan's Basketball Time featuring football. We did have one iteration of Ryan's Basketball Time featuring men's Olympic ice hockey this year, so we mixed it up a little bit. But I believe we have some stakes to play for, Ryan, so why don't you break it down for us?
Yeah, when it comes to hockey, Chris went 3-0, so good job for pulling that out of your ass.
I didn't know Team USA was so bad.
I didn't know anything. I was just
shout out to the women though. Shout out to my girls.
That gold medal.
I looked at the world rankings and just kind of made up spreads based off that, and they were all just wrong. So whatever. Good job, Chris. Steve and Chris are tied for first. Me and Peter are tied for last. After this week, There's no more basketball besides tournament stuff. So good week to end. Good time to end. As always, we will start with Steve. I think this game's tomorrow. I did the same thing as last time, where I looked at some spreads off some third-party websites ahead of time. So we have Villanova going to Seton Hall. Villanova's a 5.5-point favorite. What do you got, Steve?
I think the Cats are trying to close out strong. This is not a rivalry game. Seton Hall's in Rhode Island, I think. So not really a rivalry game. A cellar rivalry, maybe, but not really a true rivalry game. So I am going to go with the Cats to cover 5.5 by a lot.
Pete?
I'm going to go Villanova too.
I believe Seton Hall is in South Orange, New Jersey. Not to correct you, but to correct you. But yeah, no, I'm going Villanova as well. I think they cover that.
Seton Hall is in Newark, New Jersey.
They play at the Prudential Center.
Yeah. So, but Villanova really can't lose any of these games, so they're going to come out hot and just play everyone and kill them. So, Villanova.
There we go. I'm also pretty sure you're wrong, Chris, but whatever. I won't fact check you yet. I'll do that after the show's over.
It's an easy fact check. I mean, I just typed it in. South Orange, New Jersey.
Woo!
Oh, they play in Newark.
No, that's probably a suburb of Newark.
Well, I just remember I looked at it a long time ago, and it was South Orange. I just had never heard of South Orange, but very well, this might be a New York suburb, whatever.
Orange County Choppers, right?
Yeah, something like that. Peter, we have Virginia going to Louisville. Virginia's a 6.5-point favorite. What do you got?
Louisville's look good. Louisville's look good. I think they keep it close. I think Virginia wins, but they don't cover the spread.
I think Virginia does cover the spread. I bet against Virginia several times this year, and I always lose. So go Woos, or whatever they're called.
Who's?
The Who's.
Chris.
Oh,
Chris.
Yeah, Virginia. Don't bet against Virginia.
Dave.
What's the spread?
6.5.
6? Virginia. It's a similar thing to Villanova. They can't lose these games.
Okay, big game in the SEC. Both these teams a little more down than expected, but I believe this is a primetime game on ESPN. We have Kentucky going to Florida. Florida's absolutely blew the doors off Alabama. They won by like 30. And Kentucky's probably playing their best basketball of the year finally. It's Florida 2.5. I think Florida at home can cover and win that game. Chris?
I'm going to go Florida here.
Florida is. Steve?
I am actually going to go with the Cats. I think they pull out a big road win. They help their resume out and going strong to the SEC tournament.
Peter?
Yeah, I'm with Steve. Kentucky's got a real young team. This is time of year where they start maybe actually figuring out how to play college basketball. So I think
it's when they learn each other's names.
That's
is
true
at the
too.
end of the season for Kentucky. This is when they all start to actually get along because they've only been together for, 3 months. Yeah.
Yep. So go Cats.
There we go.
Cats by 90.
Cats by 90.
That's where that started.
Best is it?
Yeah, I stole it from some social media aggregator, some Old Row or TFM or something like that.
One of those things. Probably the best rivalry in college basketball, even though I don't agree. North Carolina goes to Duke. I don't really like to break these two teams down. We've seen enough of them on TV. They're always on TV. Chris, Duke is a 7.5-point favorite at home. What do you got?
No way they win by 7.5 points. I think they win, but not by 7.5 points.
Happens, says Chris. Steve.
I watched Duke lose to Virginia Tech, maybe last night, which was the trap game. So I think they're going to come out mad against North Carolina at home. Cameron Crazies going with the Dukies. Oh, Dickie, do you know Dickie V's on the call for that?
Probably, obviously.
Him and Jay Billis, all those guys.
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah, not homers at all. Yeah, I just don't like Mike Krzyzewski, so go Heels.
Go Heels. For that, I'm watching North Carolina right now, and I don't know, they look all right. I think Duke plays really, really good at home. I think they bounce back after that buzzer beater tip-in lost, and I think Duke wins by 7.5. And last but not least is they pick them. Cincinnati goes to Wichita State. Steve, we'll start with you to pick them.
Cincinnati.
Peter.
Oh, you didn't say anything. I'm going Cincinnati too. Wichita State, not as good as Build.
Okay. Wichita State beat Cincinnati at Cincinnati, so I think Wichita State could beat Cincinnati at home to win the conference championship game. So go Shockers. Chris.
Bearcats all day.
Really? Nobody's taking Wichita at home? They're all taking the
Wichita
Bearcats?
State stinks.
Okay. Hey, there we go.
Bad,
They're a bad team.
Bad.
Bad team. Nobody likes
They lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
in November.
Indiana beat Notre Dame, and we all think Indiana's trash.
There we go. Picks are locked in. We will see what happens.
Well, the final Ryan's basketball time is our tournament pool.
Yeah. That's a whole separate thing
together. But that doesn't count towards the overall score.
No,
So that would just jack it up. That's like the in the soccer you have the Premier League, you have the table which determines the champion. Then you also have the cups on the side. That's like the postseason cup.
Yeah, Peter,
in the tournament.
your team just got dicked by Steve's team in the cup. 3-0 for Man City.
No, I'm not a Man City fan. I talked about that because they win too
no
much.
longer. Yep,
It's against the brand.
it's not cool anymore.
No, the brand. I think I'm a Swansea fan now,
Ooh, go Swansea.
or perhaps a Huddersfield fan. David Wagner is a hell of a coach.
Anyways, that was Ryan's basketball time with basketball, featuring basketball
And a little bit of soccer.
And a little bit of soccer at the end.
and some football.
And a little bit of football. What's the next segment? Oh, yeah, Peter, stat of the week.
Stat of the week. You get a little bonus stat here.
Two for the price of one.
Well, no, not that. You get 2 segments for the price of one. You get No Gel Watch.
Oh, yeah, right.
Stat of the week. Purdue is 18-1 in games that No Gel plays 10 minutes or more.
Wow.
Do you think he's playing more because we have big leads, though?
Well, that's besides the point. I thought
Correlation does not equal causation.
Yeah, the correlation. What is it? That's a good point, Rye. I was kind of breaking that down in my head, like trying to figure it out. Like, oh, maybe No Gel's good, and then I was like, wait. And
Can we compare that to Grady Eifert minutes?
That's true. In games where Grady Eifert gets a rebound, Purdue is undefeated all the time.
That's like saying games. That's like saying games.
Grady gets a hustle play.
Peter, that's the same stat as saying games when Tommy Luce plays. Purdue hasn't lost.
Purdue is undefeated.
That is different.
Actually, I think Tommy Luce might have played in the NCAA tournament last year when we got shelled by Kansas.
This year.
Yeah.
But
That's funny,
in the other 4 games, we lost. He didn't play 10 minutes. So
I wonder why he didn't play 10 minutes.
I wonder why he wasn't out there.
Like, fuck that. Putting starters back in.
I'm just saying how PJ's been playing.
Yeah, that should
right,
tell you something. If PJ's more reliable than No Gel.
I don't know about that. Lately, not quite. They both.
All right, what's the stat of the week, guy?
I think that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was
it was a 2 for 1. It was two segments for one stat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good one, Pete.
Yes.
Good
Miscommunication. Semantics.
All right. Well, I'm pretty much going to combine internet comment of the week and losers segment of the week into one mega segment. So you get 2 for the price of 1 here too.
Mega
and
segment.
it's just on Purdue Twitter. I mean, the loser segment of the week was going to be on the NCAA scandal, quote unquote, where aside from Sean Miller, it seems like pretty much everybody was doing things that everybody already knew what was happening and was outside of really the coach's, responsibility whatsoever. And then the internet comment of the week part was just going to be this mentality that's just this running almost bit about opposing coaches, opposing journalists coming to Mackey Arena or just like lauding Purdue's program. And then especially after a loss, just being like, well, we still like when Chris Holtman, when Ohio State won, it was like, well, Mackey Arena, hell of a place to play. And then people on Twitter were like acting like that was a win in and of itself. It's like you could play in an empty building and nobody would care about, your atmosphere or anything. But if you got to hang the banners up, that's all that matters. So, between the Purdue fans wanting to hang a banner for stadium atmosphere and doing things the right way and just shitting on programs for things that the coaches, some of them might have known what was going on, but it really just sounds like these agents were taking kids out to dinner. You can't keep an eye on the kid all the time. If the agent takes the kid out to dinner, he takes the kid out to dinner. So I don't know. I just want to talk about pretty much just Purdue Twitter in general, but we'll see where it goes. So we'll start with Rye.
Yeah, Purdue Twitter was the thing. We talked about the Ohio State thing, which is unreal that whenever we lose a game, we have to find something to hang your hat on. And it seems to always be we're a clean program or Mackey was really rocking tonight. And if we lose a game, we lose a game. I'm not hanging my hat on anything. It's a loss. I don't care how loud Mackey was. It's even more embarrassing we lost in that loud of arena.
Yeah, right.
But the FBI thing, they were real quick to crucify Michigan State for being cheaters and being all these other things. When in reality, you are allowed to go to dinner with an agent. He just can't buy or you can't sign with an agent. But all those players in the report that are still in college really did nothing wrong. I think Miles Bridges had to pay a $40 fine to a charity of his choosing. That's how minor that is. Michigan State didn't cheat to get Miles Bridges. He just sat down with an agent. That's completely out of Michigan State's hands. So Purdue takes
the agent has different goals than what Michigan State has. Too.
Well, yeah, no. Tom Crean had a thing where he's like, he'd be stupid not to think his players sat down with agents and had dinners bought by him. It's just,
especially in a big program, that's what you do. That's what the players at a big program like Michigan State do.
Right now,
go to the NBA.
Right now, whether Purdue fans want to believe it or not, there are agents at Purdue sitting down with Matthias and Vince and Haas and maybe even PJ. Obviously, he won't play in the NBA, but
but they have to use translators because they're all from Lithuania or.
Well,
but
these players are going out. They're agents, and they probably bought him dinners. That's not groundbreaking stuff. That happens every single day to all kinds of players. The Arizona thing's kind of fucked. That they're screwed if that happens to be true. That's a whole other case of worms.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, Purdue Twitter needs to calm down with Michigan State cheaters and all that kind of stuff because what they did really wasn't that bad.
If anything, if you want to blame anybody for cheating, it would be the player.
I don't know. It's not even cheating though.
I don't even see how that's
not even $400. It's not like you'll pay $500,000.
It's also not even proof he did it. By the way, it's an expense report, and they think a lot of it's is fake stuff. They think a lot of it's him buying beers for him and his friends and writing it off as Miles Bridges or There's one on there about Malcolm Brogdon with his mom, and Malcolm Brogdon's mom's like, I sure as shit did not get lunch in a Ritz-Carlton. Now, and they think the guy's a sketchy dude. They think some of it's just bullshit.
It's an expense report. The whole thing with an expense report is trying to figure out how to backdoor in all your personal stuff.
Exactly. There's no receipts.
He very well might have gone to dinner with Miles Bridges, and Miles Bridges might have paid for his half of dinner. Who knows? And then the guy charged his bar tab to the night for that, and no one's gonna check it. Like, who cares?
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. It's an expense report. There's no receipts. There's no proof Bridges was there. And if he was there, like I said, I guarantee you Vince is out to wherever you go to Purdue with the agent. I don't know where an agent takes a kid at Purdue.
I don't know. There's that nice steakhouse on the river.
There's McGraw's, yeah. McGraw's. Maybe he's at McGraw's an agent's buying, and I could give two shits.
Triple X.
I hope that Vince is going out to dinner with agents because I want to see Vince play in the NBA. I think an NBA. I don't know if he's an NBA talent, but he's an NBA caliber player.
He is, yeah.
And I think he at least deserves to be drafted by somebody. And you have to go talk to agents to do that. That's just a part of the system. The agent goes and works the draft rooms for you. So, Peter.
Yeah, I mean it's just funny to see everyone just crucify other coaches and players and programs when anyone just does anything remotely anything that Purdue fans don't agree with. Like, oh no, you yelled a cuss word at a player. You guys are just this atrocious excuse for a program. Like, you have good players that go to the NBA and agents take them out for dinner. You should, not exist. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to play basketball in the tournament. Some scandal happened at the school 20 years ago, and now everything you do is like some terrible thing. And so, it's just funny that we just have this like holier than thou attitude with really nothing to show for it. So I don't know. And it's like that's great that it's clean and everything, but
isn't that the whole thing? Is
play to win? You play to win the game.
To show for it. We're not this clean program that has a couple championships up in the rafters or anything like that. We're a clean program that is as middle of the road as it gets. We're
good. We're a good program, but
we're not a great program.
No.
I mean, we talked about it earlier when we thought, what was that, Jaren Jackson? We really thought he might go to Purdue. I watched that kid play this year, and I was like, there's no shot in that kid's head he was ever seriously considering.
that kid's unreal. Holy shit.
Purdue.
Yeah, he won Big Ten Freshman of the Year, right?
And he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Like
look at our guys, like our big guys. Robbie Hummel.
4-year player.
Not an NBA guy. Yeah, came off the bench at Minnesota. AJ Hammonds. Is he even still in the D League?
I think the only player still actively actually playing in the NBA right now is E'Twaun Moore.
Yeah, E'Twaun Moore with the Pelicans.
And he even didn't play for 6 years.
Even Swanigan, who was the
best
guy.
Player to come out of Purdue.
The best player Purdue's had since probably the big dog. He's in the D League. We just don't get those kind of guys, and whether it's cheating or not, we just have nothing to show for it. I would rather cheat and have banners because they took away Louisville's banner, right? They said you didn't win that championship. Guess what? Everybody that was still in Louisville when they went to school there, and all their fans still got to watch that game and still got to have that moment. Like if they came and said, "Oh, the Cavaliers 2016 championship," or the Patriots Super Bowls or the Red Sox championships, those don't count. You would still be like, all right, whatever. I still have that memory of that happening, and no banner taking away is ever gonna get rid of that. So it's all just so stupid. It's just dumb. I don't know, Chris.
Well, it's hypocritical too to say we're such this high and mighty program, but then you go and try to throw everyone else under the bus. You're like, oh, they called Haas ugly, and that's such a shitty thing to do. I'm like, well, you're attacking these kids for calling someone else ugly. You're not any better than them.
Yeah, you're a bunch of snitches. Purdue fans are like kids that ask for the homework when the teacher has clearly forgotten about the homework because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Like they're party poopers. Like
Purdue kids telling you for cheating.
They didn't get invited to the house party in high school, so they called the cops on it. That's what Purdue fans are.
That's exactly who they are. And then I still love the refs thing. It's like, hey, I don't really complain about the refs, but here I'm complaining about the refs every fucking game, and it's just so annoying. Just to see
the ref
that level of hypocrisy, and nobody realizes that they're doing that. They're like, oh, we should be so great, but then we play like shit, and they're like, yeah. Because you're not that good. We're not that good. We're never gonna.
Maybe we should buy some players, and then we could beat Wisconsin when they have their worst team in 20 years.
Yeah,
like
I think it's hysterical that Purdue players after Michigan State beat Wisconsin. I'll get that right, Big Ten. Everybody was like, "Oh, I have to vacate it in a couple years, anyways." And like the only
that's pretty funny. That's
pretty
funny.
Like that doesn't give you the championship.
It doesn't give you the championship, but it's just a funny thing to say.
No, my point was like everybody thought they were going to vacate the championship, and maybe they will. Maybe some more stuff comes out. You know, that's definitely a possibility. Like maybe they did pay to get Jaren Jackson. Who knows? But more of the point was like the punishment was a $40 payment to charity. Like if you're gonna crush, they're not vacating
Michigan State and Tom Izzo over something. It's not this.
They're not vacating a whole season. He had to pay $40 to a fucking charity. They're not taking away games for that. So that part was just comical to me. Like what he did was such a minor thing that they don't take away wins. You pay $40 to a humane society, and the NCAA is like, okay, that's cool. Like that's it.
Is the Humane Society the Miles Bridges Fund?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Miles Bridges' mom's house fund.
She has a couple cats, so
yeah, right. The cats. The other thing, and Chris touched on in the cold open. I don't know about you guys, but I hope with almost all the mental capacity I focus on Purdue sports that we somehow get caught up in all of this, just to take the shine off of all these idiots that wish they still had homework to do and wish that, things were still based on grades and things like that. All these Purdue Twitter guys, the guy calling out somebody for posting a bad weather graphic today. I hope for the sake of God that we get caught up in some non-serious way, nothing that, takes the program down or anything like that. But yeah, we gave Swanigan a couple bucks. We gave Roosevelt Colvin a couple bucks to come here. Like, I hope that comes out so much, just so Foreman and Hammer and Rails and all my enemies can eat shit and admit that Purdue is just like everybody else. That's all I want, is just them to know and to admit that Purdue is just like everybody else. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel.
I would be in that boat if we have something to show for it, but we don't. Like if we went to the Final Four last year with Swanigan, I'd be like, fuck it, yeah, we cheated to get him, whatever. But like, since we have Painter has 3 Sweet 16s and that's it, and like 2 Big Ten championships. So I mean, if we're cheating, we better be.
I would be in it for the fight between the Fire Purdue or Fire Painter Twitter and
that's a good Purdue point.
Twitter. But so that would be great if Painter
how many people switch sides of the who switches sides?
Dude, all those people. On the war? Well, that's the thing. So they're always ready to throw somebody under the bus, right? They're always like, "Well, Izzo's a dirty coach. He needs to be fired." Penn State shouldn't have a football program because their coach was a shithead. They would just be like, "Well, Painter is the problem. It's not not the old Golden Black. It was Painter, that the devil Painter." And they would want him.
We painted him all along.
And then once we fired him, it would be like, well, at least we do the right thing. Tom Izzo's still around. Well, we fired Painter right away, and now we have Chris Kramer as our coach, and nobody with
18 and
Tom Crean. We'll get Tom Crean
year.
Yeah, and nobody with 3 stars above their name would ever dare come here. That's what I would think. I don't know. These people just annoy me so much. It's just total Schadenfreude that I just want to see them unhappy.
No, it is, because they get on their high horse real quickly. And if anything ever remote, like even the thing with Miles Bridges, if it came out that, I don't know what kind of agent takes out Caleb Swanigan, his dad's an agent, but that wouldn't make too much sense. But something came out, it'd be so great to see Purdue get off their high horses. It's like, Jesus Christ, like every program does some sketchy, I shouldn't say every program, but most programs do some sketchy stuff.
It's a business. Yeah, that's how it works.
It's a business, and that's how you do business.
Like the college basketball, it pays to cheat, and Matt Painter gets to pay $3 million. And if he finds out he gets cheating a little bit, it's well worth the $3 million he gets paid yearly.
Well, here's what maybe Matt Painter did. Maybe he was slipping some of those cheerleaders a couple bucks to go to dinner.
Maybe more than a couple bucks. He slipped them something else.
You know, with the Jello pudding pop. No, I think that nobody talks about the Painter thing enough. And I don't know. Should we bring that back? That Matt Painter slept with a bunch of cheerleaders or whatever. I don't even know the story. Like, there's no articles about
Purdue
it.
Twitter thinks about that though.
That's just tweeted out because I don't hear. I've looked.
We would get blocked by everybody.
Dude, that would be the end. When we're done with the show, whatever. You know, we grow up. We have children, God willing, or whatever, and we're like, you know, we can't really do this anymore. Our final tweet should just be like, you know, fuck blank, 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 and blank, and blank, and blank, and just name all the people. Just a huge thread of all the people we hate. Like, Matt Painter slept with a bunch of cheerleaders. Purdue's not that good. We're never going to be that good. You guys are all insufferable apologists. And, you know, whatever the term is for always looking for some minor victory in a larger defeat, some theoric complex that these people have.
Silver linings and such.
Yeah, right. Like silver linings, guys. You know, like I said last year when we lost in the Sweet 16, Purdue fans, if they were on the Titanic, they would be drowning in the ice cold water, unable to breathe, but with their last dying breaths as the hypothermia killed them, they would say, well, you know, it was a fun cruise. So
Purdue Twitter, man, it's great.
It's not great. Purdue Twitter is the worst thing in the world.
Other than Twitter, and then if you get on the H&R, you know, all the posts afterwards, read the comments. The comment section is also unreal.
Well, that's what Internet Comment of the Week was all about. And it you know, it took me too long to start it up, but that's what it's all about, is just, you know, the mindset. It's the Purdue mindset of just this holier than thou. We're not the best, but we're the you know, shiniest. We're the pretty boys. We're the good boys.
It's the whole let's play hard or whatever it is. It's like, all right, you played hard
the right way.
There's also, after this whole FBI thing, all Purdue Twitter is also now legal experts. Because true.
True.
I said something to somebody, and then I took my phone off. And like an hour later, I had like there's 15 messages in our inbox because people started tagging me. Nobody was saying anything. Just we were getting tagged and shit. And some guy was saying the wiretap's not real because Sean Miller would have to know he's being wiretapped. I'm like, that's not how wiretapping works.
That's not how wiretapping works.
They went to the world famous Purdue University School of Law.
Yeah, hey, we're wiretapping you. So
no, this guy
just to let you know.
We're listening.
It wouldn't even be the Purdue School of Law. It's some like electrical engineer that's like, no, the way a phone is constructed, you would have to like some.
I was water-headed. He was arguing with Purdue people, but this guy was an Arizona fan. But he was just like one of those like guys from a recruiting company who recruits people, and he was all of a sudden a legal expert. And I was just like, dude, what? That's not how that works. They don't tell you you're getting wiretapped.
Maybe he knows that maybe he's been wiretapped in the past for, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Discussing child pornography.
So it's like drugs or something.
Yeah, well, okay. I wouldn't even say drugs. That's way too cool to be arguing with people on basketball Twitter. It would have to be some really lame crime. Old Short Eyes over there at the Arizona recruiting firm.
Pirating movies.
That's right. I'm saying that the guy that argued with us on Twitter likes to have sex with kids. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you can tag him in that and tell him to come fight me. I'll give him my address. And he won't be allowed near me because there's a school across the street. So, you know what? I'll win at the end of that one, folks. So, I don't know. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about before we move into postseason, which is short shows? And, you know, we are going to do the Viking funeral show at the end of the season where we set the the funeral pyre of Purdue basketball 2017-2018 on fire down the river. Whenever we lose in the tournament, like I said at the beginning of the show, it'll probably be in the Sweet 16. But, if it's later on, we might get a couple more shows out of it. But we'll be doing shows after every single NCAA tournament game, as well as the Viking funeral episode. We won't be doing shows after every Big Ten tournament game because I have a hot curling appointment on Saturday that I don't want to miss. Your boy's getting into the curling.
Future gold medalist Steve Greco.
Me, Matt Hamilton, John Schuster, the other guys, Dave George, I forget John Landsteiner. I forget the alternate's name, but
the mustache guy.
We're all gonna be chilling on the ice on Saturday. But yeah, that was the Rebuilding Your Podcast, season 3, episode 27, supposedly. Ryan just got super excited. You can find him on Twitter.
Miami just hit a half-court buzzer beater to beat North Carolina.
Dope.
All right, well, you can do the finish then, Ryan. Ryan, you're doing the finish this week.
Thank you for listening to the Rebuilding Year. You can find Peter on Twitter at P_Mick. You can find Chris.
No, that's
Peter
not even it.
_Mick. Try it again.
What is it, Peter?
Peter_Mick. You left out a letter. They couldn't.
Oh,
they wouldn't have found
Peter
me.
_Mick.
Start it from the beginning.
Thank you for listening to the Rebuilding Year. You can find Peter at Peter_Mick.
What season is it? What episode is it?
Season 3, episode 26. Chris.
No.
27. I'm out.
Start it from the beginning again.
Again.
Thank you for listening to the Rebuilding Your Podcast, season 3, episode 27. You can find Peter at Peter_Mick. Chris at Boston Boiler.
Where is this? Instagram?
Again.
Fuck you guys. I'm done.
Again. Do it again.
Steve, I don't even know your Twitter handle.
This is what you get for interrupting the show.
Oh, God. Thank you for listening to Rebuilding Your Podcast, season 3, episode 27. You can find Peter on Twitter at Peter_Mick. You can find myself at Rye Guy and Fries. You can find Chris at Boston Boiler. You can find Steve at, I think, Steve Greco 1?
01.
No.
01. Steve Greco.
I'll let it slide since I change it all the time.
Thanks for listening. Wait till next year. Boilers by 90.
Where can you find the show?
Oh, you can find the show at the Rebuilding Your YR.
Oh my God, the Rebuilding YR.
The Rebuilding, damn dude.
Rebuilding Your YR.
Buddy.
I'm off. I'm so
maybe you have some respect for what old Steve does now.
I do have respect for what you do. I'm bad at this stuff. Sorry.
I should have done that for my loser segment. Just give you guys 3 minutes to say what everybody does for the show. But yeah, that was the Rebuilding Your Podcast, season 3, episode 27. You can find Peter on Twitter at Peter_Mick. You can find Ryan at Rye Guys and Fries. You can find Chris at Boston Boiler. You can find me at Steve Greco 01. You can find us at the Rebuilding YR. And without anything else, Boilers by 90. And wait till next year.
Jesus, Ryan.